So, hello everybody, welcome to Meet the Member, and I'm with the lovely Denise Haddon today. And so Denise, I would love to ask you a little bit first. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your background and your passion for the world of light?
Okay, thank you, Alison. Thank you for this interview. I'm an optometrist. I'm retired now. Had been in practice for 40 years actually in Cape Town and in South Africa. And so I got a little bit bored with optometry after a few years, and decided that I was looking for something else. Began to study acupuncture and Chinese medicine and a variety of other holistic methods. And then I discovered somebody came into my practice one day and left a little note saying, "Find out about light therapy." So a few months later, I remembered this, went online and found Jacob Lieberman. And so my introduction to light was through Jacob, but I had no idea that he was an optometrist, nor did he know when we spoke that I was an optometrist. And so we had this conversation, and I began using his instrumentation and his way of using light, thinking that I was doing something, and I did it secretly actually in my practice, only with friends, thinking I was doing something really that I shouldn't have been doing in my practice. And then out of the blue, we discovered in one conversation that we were both optometrists, and Jacob told me that there was a College of Syntonic Optometry that uses light. And so I had my first conference, first training with Jacob and optometric conference at the same time. And that was a profound experience for me. It really meant that instead of leaving optometry, I found a way to go back into optometry again, or to use it in my practice. And then discovered that the most important tool for determining whether you need light as a treatment tool in optometry was to measure a color visual field, which is really a little chart. We do right and left eyes. The field that people have nowadays is an automated, computerized one where you just telling the optometrist where the little light is. But we do a color field, and in the process of doing this, the very first time I had a friend who was dying of cancer, and I did her field. She couldn't see in the 12 o'clock meridian, which is actually the connection to lifeline in the iridology chart. And I discovered or saw that this was that line, saw my iridology chart, connected it up, and said, "It doesn't look like you want to live anymore," which was a really terrible thing to say to my friend, but it ended up being part of the start of a journey for her and I together. She said no, she didn't want to live anymore, actually, even though she'd come saying, "I do want to live anymore. I do want to live, and I want to try doing light therapy with you, or to heal myself." And so that began a journey. And the iridology chart on top of a color field then became my map, and my map of how to see people, which I connected with all of the prior knowledge and Chinese medicine as well. And because I was in Cape Town, where there's a lot of trauma, and I was seeing a lot of patients with trauma, I began to work out a particular process of how to deal with trauma, which lights to use with trauma. And so it became it was a life journey. It's a passion for me. I mean, as soon as I found that light could be used to expand consciousness, which was where I found Jacob, it was like it lit a fire in my belly, and it hasn't stopped since then. So it's been practically a lifetime's journey.
How fantastic, though. Fantastic from that background with it. And so you've written a couple of books.
Yes, New Light on Fields and
Lovely.
Coaching the Invisible Fields. Two little books that are available on Burnell or directly from me. But they really tell the journey and explain how, and have a lot of field charts, color charts in them, as well as an iridology chart in it, a transparency one that you can actually look at your own fields. I teach fields and how to analyze and how to do to everybody now. I'm no longer in practice. As an optometrist, it would not be appropriate as far as the medical and councils are concerned to teach fields. But I teach fields of awareness. So in other words, this is not about doing a pathological field with someone where obviously that is done, and everybody should always have that done when they're at their optometrist or ophthalmologist. So that's an important, separate, different test and takes different information. A perceptual field or a field of awareness or a color visual field that I do and how I analyze it is one that actually measures your level of your consciousness and your shadow aspects of life and where you are in your physical being, mental, emotional, and spiritual being. So it gives me a picture of, do you want to die? Because I can tell you, I can see when someone wants to die. I've seen teenagers, you know, who do want to die, and that's very, very visible in their fields. I saw that in my own field after surgery, one really traumatizing surgery that I had, where I had a near-death experience after that surgery. And my own field had diminished in a way that I knew that actually I had wanted to go. I had wanted to die.
Wow, amazing. So you're doing a talk for Isla on
Yes.
the 1st of October. So tell us a little bit about that, what you're going to cover in that talk.
It's called Shining Light on Trauma. It's going to be an hour of basically describing in more detail how I get there and what happens and what the light, which light I'm using. Because now, since COVID specifically, the world is in trauma, in total trauma. And it's embedded on all kinds of levels of trauma. And there is a specific light program that I developed, as I say, as a result of all the traumatized people that I have seen, as well as my own trauma, that consistently helps people to rebalance and reset the autonomic nervous system fight-flight process. And then you can work on people's actual constitutional level of what they require, what other colors they require, because it's not just about the colors. Really, I'm talking about are violet, indigo, and turquoise, and blue and turquoise. And so those are the colors of trauma. But the rest of the rainbow is all about living life and enjoying life, and which we've got to be able to access, but we cannot access it if we're too traumatized. We just can't.
No, absolutely. So it does sound fantastic. So we hope everybody will join on that for the first. And I know that you're also going to talk about the fact that you do teach other sessions around your fields and trauma as well. So you're going to cover some of that as well in the hour session with us at Isla. Yes. So Denise, it will be absolutely fantastic. Really looking forward to it. And thank you for your time today. Well, we wish you a rainbow rest of the day.
Thank you very much. And to you too. Rainbow to everyone.
Thank you.